Welcome to another edition of the Huntington County Community Schools podcast. Today, I am joined by Mark Wickersham. Well, hi, Mark. It's good to see you today.
Good to see you too.
Nice to spend some time with you today. Mark is the executive director of the Huntington County Economic Development Corporation. Lots of words that we're stringing together there.
Yeah.
Mark, you have been the executive director for how long?
I am starting my 18th year in this position.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you. And thank you for the school corporation. You represent the school on our board of directors. For the audience that would not have any idea what we are,
Right.
We're a nonprofit 501c3, if you will.
Yep.
We're not a unit of government.
Right.
We're not a for-profit business. We're not a real estate firm.
Okay.
We're consultants. And to make a long story short, what I do at the direction of the board of directors is function as a concierge for the industries in our community.
Okay. And who makes up your board of directors?
We have a 17-member board, and we have members from yourself, the school corporations represented, the county commissioners are represented, the county council, the mayor, the city council, each of the municipal towns throughout the county. If they sign a fee-for-service contract with us, they get a seat at the board. And then there are 6 members at large representing the overall business community.
Okay.
So really, it's a team. I mean, economic development is a team sport. There's not any one particular person. It takes a team. I'm often asked who decides what companies come to Huntington.
Right.
Well, nobody really. At the end of the day, it's all of us working together to put our best foot forward and do our best to attract and be a community where people want to invest.
You know, you've been doing this since 2008, and quite frankly, this is, I know this is not comfortable for you to brag about yourself or the work of this team, but we have positioned ourselves quite well in the state of Indiana for attracting business.
Well, we have a great story in a number of respects. When I started in 2008, 63% of the existing industrial buildings were empty.
Empty.
Okay. And our unemployment rate was in the neighborhood of 10% and would spike at 14%. So at any given time, there were between 3,000 and 4,000 people looking for work. And now we're down to an unemployment rate of a little under 4%. There's roughly 700 people. I think we understand now what we mean when we say structurally unemployed.
Right.
And our vacancy rate now is at 1%. So 99% of our existing buildings are full, and we're adding new buildings to that inventory.
Let's talk about that a little bit. You have some interesting statistics here that you had sent to me since 2008, running through 2025, where we're talking about private investment north of 840.
Right. $845 million.
Explain that a little bit.
Well, in essence, what happens each year, as I'm working with a client, we keep track of what client was involved, how much did they choose to invest of their own money. And so over the time I've been at the agency, we've tallied over 190 project wins, as we call them, because it is a competitive sport. And those investments from the clients are what I'm talking about when I say that those private sector businesses have invested over $840 million of their own money in our community.
Well, and you look at the jobs, the new jobs are well over 3,000. And the retained jobs are well over 14,000 during that same period of time.
Right. And I know sometimes even board members ask me to explain, where do those numbers come from?
Right.
Well, most of the time when I'm working with a client, we fill out a profile sheet for the client. And when they're asking for either state or local incentive dollars to help them out, they have to disclose basically under penalty of perjury how many jobs are involved, what's the hourly rate of the projects, and how much are they investing. And the thing I'm really proud of when we've used local incentives, it's like for every dollar of public support, private companies are investing $62.50 of their own money.
Wow.
So we're getting a good return on our investment.
So where does that place us in the state of Indiana? There's micropolitan awards that we have been winning along the way,
Well,
as a community and nationally, quite frankly.
There's an industry trade publication called Site Selection Magazine that circulates to developers and investors and municipal units of government. Every year in March, they evaluate all 50 states.
Good.
And how they're doing on productivity. And then within that, they also rank metropolitans, which we understand.
Right.
The big cities. But then they look at the Census Bureau definition for a micropolitan community, which is a community of under 50,000 that has one core of 10,000 or more, and it's typically adjoining a major metro. So in our case, it'd be adjoining the Fort Wayne metro area.
Okay. Good.
Okay. But there are 562 communities like ours that are evaluated every year by Site Selection Magazine. Nationally.
Yep.
And then they rank the top 100.
Right.
And I'm in my 18th year, and 9 of those 18 years we've been in the top 20% nationally. And it's based on how many multi-million-dollar projects do you have, just in raw number, and how many of those were supported by state incentives. And so in Indiana for 2024, last year, there were 9 communities recognized statewide, and we were one of the 9 on the list. Ohio led the nation with 22 communities like ours. And so we're in a really competitive marketplace between Indiana, Ohio, and Michigan, and doing really, really well. In fact, 5 of the 9 communities that were recognized in Indiana are in Northeast Indiana.
It's impressive. Where does the school district fit into this? When we're trying to attract business and all the work that we're doing, along with all the work that you're doing, where does the school district fit into this?
Well, one of the first questions that any investor, any company asks, can I find workforce talent to make my company successful? And then they want to know, what are we doing?
Right.
And it's up to us to have an answer to that question.
Absolutely.
Number one. Number two, I just want to make sure, and the school's involvement in our work and everything, we want to make sure the students understand, and the teachers understand, you have a future here. It's really bright. There are all sorts of things that you can do with your talents. And what the school corporation's done in investing in the Learning Center has really put us on the map nationally as an example that others are studying and trying to replicate in their own market.
Yeah,
so it's a great relationship, and it's important for all of us. Yes, it's important for the tax base. A lot of what I do is measured by what's the impact on the tax base and the jobs. A school corporation absolutely needs that help. We're there to help. We love it. We've got a great school to be proud of. And we're here to help. We appreciate you.
Right. It's really a hand in glove type of attitude where we take very seriously our responsibility. I think our students and our staff are doing the same thing. Like you mentioned, the Learning Center, but also white collar. I mean, we have kids going off to college, going to the military, and we want those students to come back and work in our community and call Huntington home, which is what we're trying to do. Let's move on to a couple other pieces before we tie it up here. I'm amazed at what I have learned by being on the board of directors of what's made in Huntington. I had no idea.
Most people don't.
I had no idea, Mark, what was made in Huntington. And so just elaborate a little bit on what's made in Huntington that goes literally worldwide.
Okay, when you see on the Indy 500 coming up at the end of Memorial Day weekend, the pace car, the Corvette pace car, the body is made in Huntington.
We're in Huntington.
At a company called Teijin Automotive Technologies. Teijin has 2 plants in Huntington.
Right.
Their plant number 1, the largest, is in River Fork East, as I call it. That's where they mold and press and make the body panels, sole sourced for the mid-engine Corvette.
Right.
And then the new plant that they've recently purchased, invested in $110 million in River Fork West, is for the Ford Bronco.
Wow.
So they're doing Ford Bronco, they're doing Ford F-150 Raptor. They do the Carbon Pro boxes for GMC, Sierra, and Denali pickup trucks.
Wow.
And Corvette. I mean, the world. It's fun to see those.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
It's like when you see those emotional parts, as we call them, like make a Corvette what it is. They're made in Huntington and only in Huntington.
That's really impressive. But you go down the list here and you have Bendix for braking system for commercial trucks.
Yeah.
You have Nove for utility trailers, SureTrack brand, our Sunday Visitor religious publishing.
Yeah, I know. Sure, I read it, especially right now with the conclave thing being organized.
Right.
I don't. It's a resource that I'm not sure we even understand enough about, because they print the English version of the Vatican's newspaper in Huntington.
Yeah, in Huntington.
Yeah,
And people, I didn't know that.
and their distribution system at our Sunday Visitor is bigger than the Huntington Post Office.
Really?
They dwarf the Huntington Post Office.
Well, yeah, and Incipio, orthopedic and surgical instruments.
Oh, and Incipio is another. I mean, we can go through this whole list.
Yeah.
We don't have enough time. But the thing that's important about Incipio, that your listening audience and the viewers, okay, Troy Johnson graduated from Huntington North High School.
Absolutely.
His family's from Huntington, and he now has a company with 165 employees, and a lot of the skill sets that he learned that made it possible for him to do orthopedic devices, he learned in your wood shop.
Right. And family is deeply rooted in the community, in our community. But, you know, you got Ecolab, you got, Eco Lake Foods, you got Dairy Farmers of America, you got LKQ, you've got Impact. I think I'm saying that right, with the packaging along the way. But what we don't realize, and I didn't realize, is the level of what's made here distributed worldwide.
Well, and I want to cheat. I'll show you my water bottle. Okay. There are about 12 engineers out at a company called PhD, small company on the east side of Huntington, out by what we call the tank farm. They made it possible for plastic drinking bottles to be manufactured. We could not have plastic drinking bottles without 12 guys out at PhD.
Right. Well, Mark, I just want to take a couple minutes today to say thank you, but also to let our audience know of the work that you're doing, but the work of the economic impact of hopefully our work together along the way as a school district and a business community. We have so many positive stories to tell in this, and this is just one of them. So, Mark, I appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you for spending.
Hope we can do this again.
Thank you.